Thank you. Do we have any more?
Plug into it.
Hello.
Do you want me to buy? You know, that's really fun. I'm going to do that more. You know, well, you guys are all stuck with me being here today. By the way, I'm John Bridge, in case you didn't know. God, everyone's already, you're all standing up, so good. I want to welcome you to Seattle 4. We are the fourth oldest club in the whole Rotary world, and one of the largest. But before we get started with all the music and everything else, I want to provide you with a little land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we work on the unceded traditional land of the Coast Salish peoples, the original stewards of the land past and present. We honor with gratitude the land itself and the Duwamish tribe. We realize that this acknowledgement only becomes meaningful when combined with accountability, relationships, and the informed actions, and that is a first step in honoring the land we are on and the people that live in it. So without further ado, and I want to introduce, well, let's see here. Are we going to do the music first?
Anyway,
well,
you're ready to start.
Well, should have done a rehearsal. What? All right, guys. This is, you know, I'm trying to follow this whole thing.
First, you could have.
But, you know, otherwise, I want everybody to sit down. This is, you know, we are going to be much looser. I mean, Jen is going to really have my head in all of this, but we're going to enjoy ourselves here. And it's going to be a little bit different in the year to come, and I'll tell you more about that. But before we get started, we want to have, Fred, you need to come up. Fred Weiss is going to speak to us right now about the remembrance of Bob Wiley, and that will be followed by music and inspiration. The music will be played and sung, and then Skip Cotkins will come up for the inspiration.
Good.
I get to sit down now.
Well, years ago, I would have tried to just wing this, but I can't. So here I am. And I wonder who the wise guy was who said it takes at least a couple weeks to prepare a good impromptu speech. Well, some 45 years ago, I was on this very podium being introduced by Bob Wiley Jr. Actually, he was senior, I guess, as a new Rotarian. And so that's why I put my hand up and said I'd like to say a few words about Bob Wiley. I clearly remember his humorous wordplay as his introduction to me this very day. I was then the Seattle resident manager of Coldwell Banker's commercial brokerage company. And I had left the old Crown Zellerbach Corporation, so I was very much aware of the new power and presence of the Boise Cascade Timber Company and the Simpson Timber Companies, who were each fierce competitors to my old company. So I thought, my gosh, I'm being introduced by a big shot today, Bob Wiley, because he was part of those companies. He was a Rotarian for 50 years, born August 8, 1929 in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, attended public schools, active in athletics, debate, public speaking, as you would expect, he was an Eagle Scout who wasn't, after all. His nurturing mother felt that he was warranted a postgraduate year to qualify for a well-ranked college, so he attended Exeter Academy for a rigorous one-year slog, and he then enrolled at Harvard and graduated with a BA in economics cum laude in 1952, and from there to the U.S. Navy for 3 years. And in the spring of his senior year, and his roommate had tricked him into meeting a girl from Wellesley College. And the story is that neither Bob nor the girl wanted to meet necessarily, but courtship, however, and love quickly developed, and Bob and Mary Ann Townsend were married and for over 60 years, which is a good period of time, even for a guy like me that's going on 52. After Harvard, and that's before woke, Bob had been in NROTC at Naval Engineering School. He spent 3 years on active duty on the New Jersey, and after his naval duty, he enrolled as a Baker Scholar for another year at Harvard Business School, where he graduated magna cum laude. This guy was well educated. Then he was snapped up by a name that many of you will remember, Robert Hansberger, who was the renowned president of the Boise Cascade Timber Company, and then an assistant general manager to Hansberger, and the timber companies of Simpson and the Reed family right here in the Northwest. A lot of you remember those names, but in some respects they're gone. Anyway, Bob Wiley was a big shot, but he was always pleasant, and he had made a humorous wordplay when he introduced me those 45 years ago. Coldwell Banker, he made it Banker Coldwell. He went back and forth, and he got a good laugh from the audience, which helped the day. If you fast forward 40 years, the last couple of years, I've frequently run into Bob Wiley on my daily walks from my home just a few blocks south of his home. It was then at Covenant Shores. And a few weeks ago, while walking past Bob, both of us wearing big parkas and all bundled up, it was cold. And I had a big hood on mine, and I had an NRA hat that I was wearing. And he said, "Hey, Weiss, that NRA hat," he says, "that's why America's so screwed up with gun violence these days." And I said, "No, Bob, you got it wrong. This is your old buddy Franklin Delano Roosevelt's National Recovery Act." And he made a good laugh, and God bless him, he always did. He was always a happy guy, and I appreciated that. Bob is survived by his son, Robert III, who is here with two of Bob Sr.'s granddaughters, and they're both here. There's Maureen and Reagan sitting right there. And I think maybe a round of applause for these beautiful girls. Well, what it all comes down to is Bob Wiley, old friend. I'll get choked up. Rest in peace, old friend. The good Lord will take care of you. I know you're in the right place. I know you're in the right place. And I want to thank you in front of all these people for all the good memories I have of you and the example you set for us. So rest in peace, Bob. You will not be forgotten.
It was great. Thanks very much, Fred, and thanks for taking half of my time. So we're going to sing the national anthem because we haven't done it in a while, and every once in a while we have to hang on. Can't let it go. So if you want to stand and sing, because we're going to sing it fast. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light. What so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleam, through the stripes and bright stars, through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You can be seated again. I'm doing the inspiration today, but I've actually had enough people that want my Seattle 4 fleece that maybe I might conduct an auction instead. But I wear it even sometimes not on Wednesdays. But we'll save that for later. So at the age of 3, when his parents fell on hard times, he was sent to Vermont to live with grandparents. He was promptly kicked out of school there. But his expulsion days were not over. He was kicked out of university his freshman year. He transferred, but he never actually graduated from college. Somehow, he managed to get through law school in the Midwest, where he promptly put his new JD to work over the next 5 years as a newspaper salesman and reporter, a nut farmer, an actor, a cowboy, and a crew member on cattle ships between Europe and North America. And I know some of you are thinking there might be a connection between tending cattle and being a lawyer, but I'll let you think about that on your own. Eventually, he did practice law. Ever focused on what would be good for his legal business, he got together with 3 clients for some socialization and some business support. They took turns hosting lunches for each other, rotating between their various offices. They decided that in addition to mutual business support, maybe they ought to actually do some good in the world. So they raised some funds to build public toilets in Chicago. Toilets. That, fellow Rotarians, was the first Rotary service project. I'm talking, of course, about Paul Harris, the founder of Rotary. Paul Harris is lionized as our founder. However, it was actually Jim Pinkham and Ernie Skeel from our club that redirected the purpose of Rotary from business networking to service. Linking those two at the Rotary Convention in 1911, they proposed, and it was adopted, that the motto for Rotary would be, "He profits most who serves best." Now, Thomas Edison had 1,093 patents, arguably a lot of good ideas. Paul Harris had one good idea. And for that, all of us in the 46,000 Rotary clubs around the world, we owe him a debt of gratitude. An interesting note, I'm in my 44th year as a member of this club. When I joined, a $1,000 contribution to the Rotary Foundation qualified for a Paul Harris Fellowship. Today, a Paul Harris Fellowship is $1,000. So who says that Rotary's not a bargain? Now, I'm not sure that getting kicked out of multiple educational institutions is inspiration that we should follow. But we don't have to be Edison either. Just think of the collective impact of one good idea from each of us 1.4 million Rotarians.
Well, I'm back again. Just want to thank Don Murphy and Freeman Fong for the music, and to thank Skip Cotkins for the inspiration and the history of our Rotary establishment here. I now have the I also want to thank, where is Mary Goldie? Did she disappear? I want to thank her, too, for all of the things that she's been doing, and for Pete Delaney's meeting reporting. I'm going to welcome some of our guests now, and we have a number of them, so I will try and do that in a rapid, well, good. Mary's here. Give her an applause. You know, she's keeping everything on schedule along with Jen, and I'm going to get us off schedule now. So, our prospective members today, I just want to mention to them. We have Joanne Miller. Please stand if you can remember to do that. Joanne Miller, Alex DeLeon, Stephen Hall, Marilyn Lopez, Carson O'Connor, Donna Anagaran, Dr. Van Pham, Victor Guzman, and Chanari Manharda. My goodness, would you pronounce your name, please? I think that will work out really well. We will call you Chan. Well, thank you. These are our prospective members. You guys can sit down now. That's going to be one of the big themes for next year, and continuing is we want new members, exciting new members to come and be part of our club. And then we have a number of guests here. Of course, we have the entire Wiley family here, and thank you for coming. We have Jason Hagley, David Lane, Carolyn Molinar, all the way from the Netherlands, Mark Ward, Merle Smith, Chitra Baddevar, another person that I'm having trouble remembering how to pronounce names, Jesse Miles, and Kelly Hoggle. So welcome. Now I have the pleasure of introducing Ani Black with the new member introduction of Logan Riley. And they will be followed, so that you won't hear from me for a few more minutes, by our SRSF group of Sarah Weaver and Vicki Oxley. Go ahead, Annie. There he is. Stand up front.
It is my pleasure to introduce our new Rotary member, Logan Riley. Logan was sponsored by Stephen Morse and co-sponsored by Karma McKay, and his classification is insurance. Logan was born and raised in Kansas City, where his parents, brother, and golden retriever Argus still live. He has family friends who are part of the Rotary chapter in his hometown. In high school, he participated in a Rotary Youth Leadership Institute and subsequently volunteered for this program for 3 summers. He graduated from Kansas State University in 2019, where he majored in finance and Spanish and minored in entrepreneurship. He spent a college semester abroad in Bilbao, Spain, where he honed his Spanish language skills. After college, he worked as a commercial surety bond underwriter for Liberty Mutual Insurance in their Overland Park in Kansas City, in the Kansas office. In 2021, he moved to Seattle to work in Liberty Mutual's Seattle office, and last May, he accepted a position with Swiss Re as a commercial surety underwriter in charge of the Pacific Northwest and assisting in operations in the Midwest, West Coast, and Southern regions. He works at their office south of Pioneer Square, currently lives in Belltown, and plans to get a dog once he has a yard. Logan loves to barbecue, bike, swim, and hike. I just learned, he says he loves to ski, and I just learned that he just took his third ski lesson on Friday at Snoqualmie Pass. I'm amazed they had snow, but for a beginner, I guess you get it. Whatever it all looks good. He's an avid sports fan for Kansas City. Go Chiefs. And the Kansas State Wildcats, and also goes to Kraken games. Logan loves to read. He loves exploring secondhand bookstores and collecting rare and vintage books. In his personal library, he has a book dating back to 1847. Right?
Yeah.
What was the book?
I can't remember the title, but it's from Ireland.
It's from Ireland. He joined Seattle Rotary for the fellowship, networking, and to be of service. His friend Carson O'Connor is here with us today as a guest and a potential new member. He'd like to find volunteer opportunities to use his Spanish skills and to contribute to the Rotary Mentoring Program. Please give a warm welcome to Logan Riley.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sarah Weaver, and I'm the president of your Seattle Rotary Service Foundation. And I'm here today to bring you some interesting news and hopefully to inspire you to donate to our foundation. And I want to thank my Vice President, Vicki Oxley, for preparing our slides today. So thanks. Okay. So our mission at the foundation is to raise, steward, and distribute funds in support of the service activities of this club. So we exist at the foundation to support all the great work that you're doing out in the community. And at the foundation, we really ask two things of you. And today I'm going to talk about first the raising of the funds, and then the fun part, the distributing, the giving away. So what do we ask from you as a member of our club and as a member of the foundation? First, every member of our club is expected to donate $400 as your annual contribution. And if $400 is a bit much in your budget right now, we do have a monthly payment plan. And in fact, many of our members who donate more than $400 a year have signed up for the monthly donation just because it's so convenient and easy to do. There's been some debate, and I think that Skip alluded to it, about whether we are a service club or a networking group. And I can say, from my experience, we're both. And there's no better way to network with your fellow Rotarians than by rolling up your sleeves and digging in on a service project. So you could be fighting malaria in East Africa with Charlie Dickey and Jeff Pritchard, or you could be packing food for the homeless with Dorothy Bullitt down at the Pike Place Market. Or you could be with Einer down at Wellspring sorting clothes. So there are many, many ways in our club to engage in service. And in my experience, that is absolutely, positively the best networking there is. You get to know people in ways that you don't expect, and you make deep and lasting friendships. So we'd like your $400, and we'd love for you to sign up for a committee. So how are we doing? Well, the good news is that we do have a little room for improvement, and that's always a good thing. Heaven forbid that we attain perfection. So here's where we are. Our goal this year is $250,000. We want 100% of our members to participate. And I will tell you, the fact of donating, even if you can't donate 400, is more important than the amount you give. We want everybody to be included and feel that they can contribute, whether it's $400 or some other amount. Our expected donation is $400 per member, but you'll be surprised, perhaps, to learn that the average donation that we've received so far is it's north of $1,000. So if numbers tell stories, what this is telling me is that we have a smaller number of people giving larger amounts. So there's opportunity there for growth among those who have not donated yet. The number where we really could show significant improvement is in the percentage of our members who've donated. And right now, when I checked on Monday, that percentage was only 47%. So we've got a ways to go to get to 100%. And I suspect I'm probably preaching to the choir here. But if you haven't had the opportunity to donate this year, we hope that you will. We have surpassed we've gotten to a point where we're now looking to raise slightly less than $100,000 to reach our goal. And I'm confident that we can do that. We also have 155 members of our club who have not yet donated. And 155 would be a large Rotary club in most cities. And we have 155 members who we need to step up and donate. So, I told John I was going to say this. You really don't want to get a call from John Bridge asking where your donation is. Okay, so that's where we are on the donation end of things. And a couple months ago, we did ask for your help in another way. We asked for your help in soliciting grant applications for a donation of $100,000. A couple weeks ago, we received 27 different applications. We assigned those to 6 different scoring teams. And then last Wednesday, we had a Zoom meeting, and we took the 27 and we reduced it down to our top 3 finalists. That process, we did all the grading, and then on our Zoom meeting last week, Jeff Pritchard and Lillian Sherman facilitated a wonderful discussion among our group and helped us reach our top 3. I do want to say that Lillian, her organization also has applied, and she was very clear in letting us know that she had no intention of taking part in any voting when we met last Wednesday. So here are our 3 finalists, and they're just wonderful organizations. Did they come up? Yeah, there we are. We have a wonderful group, a program that will support veterans and in financial literacy. The Pike Place Market Foundation, which is Lillian's organization, and then a wonderful program focused on students and literacy. So we have 3 wonderful choices, and now we're going to be back to the club to ask for your vote in selecting the finalists. You're going to have an opportunity to learn more about them next Thursday at the Rainier Club. We're having an evening event from 5:30 to 7. There's no cost to attend, but we would appreciate an RSVP. The individual applications from the 3 finalists will be posted. We will also record what happens next Thursday so that if you're not able to attend, you'll be able to see those as well. So in closing, we hope you will come next Thursday and celebrate our wonderful finalists and support service within our club. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Sarah. I thought Vicki was going to be up here also, but I will definitely give you a push to raise that extra dollars. And I know that everybody here has contributed this year, right? Everybody here has contributed. But There are people online over there that are watching us that hopefully are going to be recorded for the future, and I'll expect them to contribute also. Enough said. Sarah's already said that I will be happy to telephone anybody who might not feel interested in giving. Just a little extra push there. Well, now I have the pleasure of introducing Pete Delaney, who is going to introduce our speaker, but I have to give sort of a plug to our speaker too, Kris Johnson. And the reason I will is that I was on his board for quite a while, and I'm a big supporter of AWB, the Association of Washington Business. Pete, come on up and tell us a little bit more about Kris.
Well, I won't talk a little bit about Kris. I will talk about the Association of Washington Business briefly. It is the state's oldest and largest business association with 7,000 members and representing 700,000 employers across the state. Members value AWB for its Health Choice employee health insurance, CompWise industrial insurance program. AWB organizes seminars, conferences, and workshops, puts a spotlight on businesses that perform best practices, and produces an award-winning magazine. AWB's, during the legislative session, all hands are on deck, so we're very fortunate today to have Kris Johnson join us, president of AWB. Welcome him.
Thank you, Pete. Nicely done. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Oh, we'll try that all over again. You should be awake. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, thank you for having me. It really is an honor to be before the fourth oldest Rotary Club in America. Think about that for a moment. You're sitting at the fourth oldest Rotary Club in America. So great to be here. John, thank you for all your work that you've done on behalf of AWB over the years as well. And to your new Rotary member, Logan, his alma mater had a huge upset earlier this week. Didn't you, Logan? Who'd you beat? You beat Kansas. So I'm sorry if there's Kansas fans in here, but K-State upset KU. By the way, the former president of K-State is now the president of Washington State University, Kirk Scholz. So just a connection there as well. So, all right. Let me just do some level set here. Pete did a nice job setting up Association of Washington Business. Here's our mission. AWB is to be the catalytic leader and unifying voice for economic prosperity throughout Washington State. So not just be a leader, but be catalytic in our approach. The next thing, maybe the hardest thing to do in our history of time right now, bring people together and unify. We're as divided as we've ever been. And last but not least, that economic prosperity has to hit every corner of our state, not just in pockets. And so we think there are 5 key elements for building a successful economy. Achieve, connect, compete, employ, and place. Achieve, skilled, trained, educated workforce. Connect, a comprehensive infrastructure system that not only just moves us around, but also moves technology around, fiber playing a really important role during the pandemic for us in that regard. Employ. Every single Amazon, Disney, Schweitzer Engineering Laboratory, or others started as a small business, right? So how do we have an active entrepreneurial environment? And to have an active entrepreneurial environment, we have to have a competitive environment to do business in. And last but not least, we all treasure where we work, live, and play. So we believe those are the 5 key elements for driving a successful and thriving economy, and they work whether you're at the local level or the state level as well. I'm going to do a little level set on legislative session, talk about the economy, and then do a little bit of look ahead on some big things facing our state. So the legislature is in session, as Pete said. It's great to take a break from Olympia and be up here for a couple hours. I'll be heading right back shortly. It is a 60-day legislative session. They have 2 really primary objectives to do in a 60-day legislative session. Dan Mead-Smith cannot answer them because he knows what they are. What are the 2 primary objectives the legislature has to do? Supplemental budget's 1. The second is new for them this year because they haven't had a chance to do this in a while. Address the initiatives that are sent to the legislature. Those are the 2 primary objectives. But you will see a list of things that's just a sampling of some of the conversations that they're having down in Olympia. and it's a really, really big list. So what's our message? Our message is a simple one. Let's be champions for the economy of the state of Washington. So you might say, geez, what does that look like? Well, that means we make really smart decisions with the budget. Let's make sure that we put the budget to the best work so that we do have economic prosperity in every corner of our state. We need to make sure that we have enough energy to power our economy going forward. We spend a lot of time talking about the emissions side, and we will here in a bit. But think about this. Washington's about to grow 1 million people between now and 2030, 2 million between now and 2040. We have a goal, a unanimous goal through the legislature to double the manufacturing sector of the state's economy. We're seeing a push to electrification in every element, and a new sector called AI that's coming online. We need every single megawatt of power we have today and a whole bunch more to work together. I often say there's 2 competitive advantages to doing business in the state of Washington. It's people and power. And power has certainly played a transformational role in our state's economy. We also have to make it easier, not harder, not more complex and more expensive to be an employer in the state of Washington today. And so our message is let's start making it easier. Let's start making it easier to start a company, to grow a company, and keep a company in the state of Washington. And last but not least, we all think and all value consistency and predictability in our tax and regulatory environment. So let's start with tax policy for a moment. You'll see here that the state budget has gone from $33 billion to $70 billion on a biennium basis in the last 10 years. So how much money does the state of Washington, this is new, so Dan, you might want to use this. How much money does the state of Washington take in any one day from tax dollars? Any guesses? If you guess the number, I'll give you a Starbucks gift card. $95 million a day. $95 million a day. And remember that half of all state and local taxes come from who? The employer community. That means $50 million a day from the employer communities going to Olympia every day, 365 days a year to build our budget. So we're encouraging lawmakers to be thoughtful about the growth of the budget. You can see what the trajectory is there. I think very few businesses in the state have seen a similar type of growth in their business. But let's also build reserves, because you use reserves when it's a rainy day. And it's not raining outside today. And so we've encouraged lawmakers to be really thoughtful about rainy days. And then let's be thoughtful about being champions for the economy and how we grow that economy. So what are some of the tax policy conversations? There's some good ones that have been talked about down there. If we're going to double our manufacturing sector, let's think about strategic ways to do that, like supporting a business and occupation tax reduction for manufacturers in the state of Washington, or helping those companies that wanted to get into the child care space to do so in a way that's helpful to their company. And under the tax increases that we have some concerns about, I'll just highlight the first one. Anybody used or gave a gift card away this last Christmas season? Raise your hand. Yeah. We love gift cards in the state of Washington. One, they never expire, right? Now, all of you that said you gave a gift card away, raise your hand again. Now, keep your hands up if you wrote down what gift card you gave to which family member and what the gift card number was on the back of it. Oh, you didn't. None of you didn't do that. Well, the legislature has a bill that says, well, we think if that gift card isn't spent over a period of time, it would go to the Department of Revenue and become unclaimed property. It would give Washingtonians a chance then to put in for that unclaimed property. But if you didn't do that by a certain window, it's usually 3 years, guess where it would go? Back to the state. So it's no longer sitting in your pocket with an inability to expire. So we think this is one of those creative solutions that's looking for a problem to find itself. Pardon me. The next piece, a big concern around employers, unemployment insurance. If you're an employer in this room, you know that unemployment insurance is 100% paid by you, the employer. So my employer and your employer pay our unemployment insurance. The purpose of this legislation many years ago is to help employees who lose their job at no fault of their own and are actively seeking employment. That's the purpose of the unemployment insurance system in the state of Washington. And it has the second highest payout of any state in the country. So it's a system that works. What it's not set up for is to cover the wages of those who choose to go on strike against employers. So this is a big concern that we're paying a lot of attention to down down in Olympia, and we're really concerned about the cost and impacts of doing this. Next piece, if you remember anything about the last legislative session, it was the what session. What topic was the big conversation last session? Housing. That's absolutely right. 9 bills passed in the 2023 housing session. It was a big step forward, but we need to do more of those steps and significantly more of those steps going forward. But we can't make housing more affordable by making it more expensive. And there are a number of proposals down in Olympia that would drive up the cost of housing in the state of Washington, including the last one where we have local governments now looking to raise the 1% cap on property tax increases to a higher number in that. So if we go backwards and say we made a lot of big progress last year on housing, we need lots of units of all kinds, of all types, everywhere in the state for every Washingtonian out there. The solution can't be making it more expensive to make it more affordable. A lot of conversation in Olympia regarding the Climate Commitment Act, a number of things the legislature could do in this regard, including 1, fix the exemption for ag, which hasn't been done yet. 2, it could link with some other markets to lower the prices. 3, create greater stability in the program. And 4, increase the transparency. Where is the revenue raised? And more importantly, where is it sent to? And this one we'll talk a little bit more about here in a minute. So that's just a sampling of the bills happening in Olympia. So remember, supplemental budget and initiatives to the legislature are the primary task. So speaking of initiatives to the legislature, we have 6 of them going to the legislature. Do you think that is a low number, average number, or high number? High. How about record? Anybody know what the prior record of initiatives to the legislature was before this set of initiatives went? Who said 3? 3 is correct. Give Sarah a round of applause. She got the number right. 3 is the high water mark ever before this. There are 6 of them before the legislature right now. I do not have a gift card for you. Sorry, sir. That was the prior question. But John will take care of you when he's calling on people for Rotary funds. So all 6, here's something that's interesting. All 6 had over 400,000 signatures. Over 400,000 signatures. That might tell you a little bit about the intensity of where Washingtonians land on the 6 initiatives that are before them. And a couple of them I'll just call out. How about an income tax? Does anybody know how many times Washington State has voted on an income tax over the years? Sarah, no gift card on this one either. 5, 3? Who said 12? You're close. 11 times. We have voted 11 times. And how have we voted all 11 times? No. Say it again? No. Okay, I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. That's correct. So 11 times. There's a bevy on here. I'd encourage you to really get to know these. They're everything from opting out of the long-term care program, to repealing the Climate Commitment Act, to putting in legislation about vehicle pursuits for law enforcement, prohibiting an income tax, repealing the capital gains tax, and then parental right notification. So legislature can do 3 things. You can see that on the slide to your right. They can adopt them as is, they can ignore them and it goes to the vote of the public, or they can pass an alternative. And we will know the answer to that question come March 7th when the legislature adjourns from its session. I meant to say that also yesterday was an important day in Olympia because it was the halfway point. So now the end is in sight for us as we go forward. So let's look at the economy for a moment. And there's some really interesting data here to look at. 1, in December, the state added 7,700 jobs there. So if you saw yesterday's or the day before job report for the country, it was hot, right? It was way higher than expected. We reflect a little bit of that in December. We added 7,700 jobs in the month alone and added almost 55,000 jobs last year. So healthy numbers. And you can see what the non-farm employment is on the chart that's there on the right. We also have 33 vitals. Like if you remember like one website today, I would just encourage you to remember AWB and the word institute. And there we have 33 economic indicators for the state of Washington. And we have the ability to break them down for all 39 counties. So this is set at the state level here. And if you look at the labor participation rate which is in the far left, it's at 62.2% and declining. Remember that factoid when we come back here in a minute. But look at the slide, the tile that's on the bottom far right. New business applications. New business applications are down 4.3% year over year. What county typically leads the state in the highest number of new company formations? King County. And King County has underperformed since January of 2020. Where are the 4 fastest growing counties with new company formations in the state? Oh, I thought you were right. I got 5 minutes. I have to go really fast. Okay. It's Spokane, Benton, Franklin, and Clark County. Next slide. What you'd see here, here's the most interesting fact about labor participation. Last 24 months, the state's grown 100,000 people, but our labor participation rate has shrunk 1.5%. So what type of people then are moving here, would you guess? A lot of retirees or people with young children, right? If the state's growing that much. Look at this housing slide. This will let you know what housing's going on. We combined 2 of those vitals to do this. One is, this is from January 1 of 20, right as the pandemic hit, through the end of last year. So 48 months. Who's in finance and stocks here? Okay, so if you look at the far left, and that is the Housing Affordability Index, and you follow it to the far right, if I was a client, I might say, we need to talk. Right? Housing Affordability Index for the state of Washington before the pandemic started, 109.6. That means our dollar went a little bit further than the rest of the country for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. It has dropped 52 basis points in 48 months. This is 48 months. This isn't 40 years. This isn't 400 years. This is 48 months. You couldn't shove it up the other way if you, I don't know how you could do it the other way. Look at what resale was. On January 1, when the pandemic just about started, 415. Today, 654. So I'm going to wrap it up here and say, that's all great. That's all behind us. Everything I've told you is what happened in the past. Here's what's really important. The state's going to grow 1 million people between now and 2030. If you live in King County's population is going to conservatively grow between now and 2030, which is how many years from now? 6. Conservatively, 190,000 people. This is based upon the census data and the modeling that the state has done. And it could go as many as 500,000 people. So if we have 500,000 people, let's just choose the easy number. Let's just say 200. If we have 200,000 people moving to King County, the questions you might ask yourself is, where are these people going to live? Where might they send their kids? How am I going to get around town, right? So go back to those vitals. If the housing vital is screaming red today before 200,000 people move here, that tells you we've got a really big problem and we got to lean in and solve that. But by the way, to hit just the conservative number of 190,000, each year in King County, employers need to create 236,000 jobs a year, every year between now and 2030, to account for 3 things. For those that retire, for those that change jobs and career tracks, and for the expanding economy. So 190,000 people coming here conservatively over the next 6 years, and we have to create over 200,000 jobs to keep up with that number. All right, I'll stop there and take questions.
I think that Kris and Pete Delaney, for once, are the only people that followed my cues to keep things brief. And let's not forget that Dawn and Freeman did the national anthem in about halftime, and I love that. I'm so appreciative. Now it is time for questions. Kris, the faster your answers are, the more questions that we get in, and I know there's probably a room full of people that have some incredible questions, so if you have a stack of business cards to follow up, that would probably be fantastic, too.
Okay.
Questions? Oh, okay. I'm hesitating.
All right, Kris, I got about 6 questions here, actually. No, I'm kidding. So I know that the federal government is putting a lot of pressure on cities to provide these housing, the housing facilities for these population growths or lose their federal funding. But what are they doing, do you know, to provide the jobs? Is there any pressure anywhere to provide these jobs by 2030 or 2040? by anybody? Because I know the housing will be there, but you're right. I don't know if the jobs are going to be there.
When you look at the data, what's really interesting, it goes back to that business formation. The 4 fastest growing counties in the state for business formation are also they are 4 of the top 6 growing populous counties as well. So Spokane County, business formation's up, population up. Housing affordability is far more easier in Spokane County than it is in King County. Benton and Franklin, phenomenal growth over there. And then Clark County. And for Clark County, part of it's about what's happening in Oregon, right? People are escaping Oregon for Washington State. One of the reasons they're coming here is because we don't have an income tax, that's right.
Hi, Kris. Thank you very much for being here. On those 6 initiatives, does the AWB take a position, and have you made your position known yet?
Great question. We will take our positions after the legislative session is over. We have a long history, as you probably know, of engaging on initiatives and will this cycle as well.
Oh, that was so good. I can't even make it over to
There's
her.
right there.
There's
sorry.
one that's in line just
Oh,
before
sorry.
her, so I'm going to get right back there. And it's perfect time because we have 2 more questions. Time for 2 more questions.
The state is very reliant on hydropower, and I've been wondering whether there's anyone at the state looking in the in the long term about the impact of global warming on the state and our reliance on hydropower. You seem like the right person to ask, so thank you.
Well, I can't speak for the state, but I'll speak for what we're concerned about, which is energy generation has transformed our economy, no doubt about it. We will need more demand power. We need a diverse energy system to power a diverse economy, and that means we need more new energy that's reliable baseload power, which means when you go to flip the switch, it's there. Remember during our coldest days, there was no wind blowing. So we had to rely upon, actually, 2 sources got us through the cold snap we were just in. One was our Columbia Snake River energy system, and the second was Energy Northwest, which has the nuclear reactor over in the Tri-Cities. Both of those had what are called no-touch orders on them. Produce the most amount of power you can because there was no other energy somewhere else. If we're going to go through the growth that we're about to go through, we're going to have to be able to site new energy facilities, build new energy facilities, and then transmit that energy, because that's equally as important. It's one thing to generate it. We have a hard time being able to permit transmission lines in this state. We're going to have to do both those things.
I have a quick question. How big a business do you have to be to belong to your organization?
You can be a one-person company.
I'm
The
sorry?
one-person company, 65% of our members have 10 employees or less. So we're talking about Main Street, Washington. All right, Mr. Bridge, it's all yours.
Wait for a second. I want to thank you, Kris, for your presentation, and for that, we're able to provide you with a Harvest Against Hunger card, which provides up to 600 servings of very fresh produce to people around the state.
Thank you.
I also want to thank our sponsors, Joel Farrell and Blood Northwest, today. And I'm going to ask Jen to come forward with some announcements, and I'm going to stick around for a couple of minutes after that.
We recovered time, so I'm going to make sure that I don't, again, make us behind. We've got a special event that's in my neck of the woods in West Seattle at the golf course on February 13th. It is an author talk. Up there, I'm not going to tell you in detail what the programs are. Please go to our website, easy to navigate our calendar and see the details there. The February event for SRSF, where we're going to vote on or have the opportunity to listen to the 3 nominated grant recipients. And then February 21st is a can't miss. UW President Anna Mari is going to be our main speaker then. And then the 21st, we have the Rotary Club of the Pacific Northwest Ending Sex Trafficking. It's a mouthful, but it's the satellite club that we sponsored. That'll be a fantastic event in the evening at 6 p.m. February 26th is the deadline to register for the PGA Championship. You got an email from Jan Levy. You got 2 of them, so follow up if you want to get details and get registered for that. And then February 29th is Rotary Day at the Foster School of Business. It's a lunch and learn. That one is going to be absolutely fantastic. We have some really great mentors involved in that this year. So please check the calendar if you want more details on those events.
Well, thank you very much, Jen. And now I do have a couple of seconds left to regale you with. I'd like Logan to come forward for a second. He doesn't know about this yet. But you know, I didn't get a Rotary Club pin to give him. I'm also going to start talking Spanish to him. Because I spent a summer in the Spanish Navy. That's my line, so I'll have to talk to you about that. But here's your Rotary pin. Awesome. Wear it often, and then you'll get another one like this once you become a Paul Harris Fellow. That's $1,000, though. So take your time, and welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Well, I want to let everybody know that today is National Girls and Women in Sports Day. Just to let you know that, you know, we need to know what the day is all about. In 1945, Douglas MacArthur returned to Manila on the 7th, and in 1971, women got the vote in Switzerland. Can you imagine it took that long in Switzerland? It is also the birthday of Charles Dickens and Sinclair Lewis. And you guys can look them up if you don't know who they are. And then one other little thing, too, as a teaser for next year. I'm not going to give you the whole thing, but we are going to have a theme of our Rotary Club, and it is going to be the 3 C's. And you guys can all start guessing what the 3 C's are going to be. But that's what the theme is going to be. And with all of that, we are adjourned.